பாடன்னா புரியலன்னு அர்த்தமா? I think she's speaking British English.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the r/Kollywood podcast. We're having a bit of a dry month in September, to be very honest. So நாங்கள் நினச்சோம், சரி ஓகே என்ன படம் தான் ரிலீஸ் ஆச்சு 5 வருஷம் முன்னாடி 10 வருஷம் முன்னாடி எல்லாம் பார்த்தானா நம்ம Engira Baskaran வந்து செலிப்ரேட்டிங் இட்ஸ் 15th year anniversary. So it's a good opportunity to kind of revisit that film in parts, look at the sort of up-down career of Rajesh, and that how he captured that zeitgeist for this brief period with his hat-trick trilogy, debut hat-trick trilogy, and then why he kind of fell off a cliff, quite honestly, after, and why other directors also struggled similar to him, and we've seen examples of that already this year with some of the more veteran directors. And then there are some who kind of buck the trend. Like, what are they doing different that these lot are not able to do it? So I have with me JK bro. Vanga bro.
Hi bro. Vanakkam.
Good afternoon.
Vanakkam. Also note to all listeners at the time of recording, எனக்கு தொண்டை சரியில்லை. So yeah, please bear with me. திட்டாதீங்க கமெண்ட்ஸ்ல. பீட்டர்னு திட்டாதீங்க கண்டிப்பா. ஆமா.
So யாராவது எழுதுவாங்க
பீட்டர். Yes.
இல்ல, I don't know JK if you are old enough to remember this ad with Vivek, I think Coca-Cola, where literally right, like there's some like yo-yo dude of the month who's like skateboarding, okay, and then Vivek when he drinks Coke and he says, "Hey Peter, me skating, not dating," and he's like hanging out with some girls. This is literally an ad.
I don't think I've seen it, or maybe I was too young to remember, but yeah, it definitely is very Vivek coded, like in the mari.
But in a way it's kind of topical. The reason I say this, right, you have these sort of comedy bits, right, like that's another ad, but it kind of fits well with how it captured the zeitgeist at that point in time, but probably doesn't really hold up very well
nowadays
in retrospect, right? Kind of similar to the to our topic this week. So Engira Baskaran, நீங்க எங்க பாத்தீங்க bro அந்த படத்தை? How old or how young were you?
Okay, wow, this is a blast from the past. எனக்கு actually பாத்தீங்கன்னா I think I was in 9th or 10th standard when the movie came out. I think 2010, if I'm not mistaken. That must be the time. Then yeah, I would have still been in school. I remember, back then like I come from a family where நான் ஒருத்தன் தான் இவ்வளோ பெரிய சினிமா பைத்தியம். ஸோ until I could afford to go to movies on my own and all, பெரிய ரிலீஸுக்கு தான் கூப்பிட்டு போவாங்க. ஸோ ஆப்வியஸ்லி அப்போ ராஜேஷ்லாம் அப் அண்ட் கம்மிங் டைரக்டர், they were not going to spend to go and watch his movie in the theater. நான் பார்த்தது வந்து என்னோட லோக்கல் சலூன்ல அந்த அதான் ப்ரோ, லைக் இது இன்னைக்காவது ஒரு நாள் பேசலாம்னு சொல்லிட்டு நான் வந்து I was keeping this in the stockpile. எங்கேயா ஒரு நாள் யூஸ் ஆகும். Today is the day I tell that storyன்ற மாதிரி. Yeah, ironically or unironically, I saw it while waiting for cutting, like across இது லோக்கல் சலூன்ல. And obviously I don't know, அது திருட்டு பிரிண்டா என்னன்னு எனக்கு தெரியல. It must have been at least a month after release, so I'm guessing probably not. I don't, விஷால் நான்லாம் வரல, so I'm not very sure. But yeah, but across sittings of waiting, I used to like, okay, I was so engaged in the comedy bits that இல்ல எனக்கு அப்புறம் வந்து உங்களுக்கு கூட கட்டிங் பண்ணி விடுங்க, நான் அதை பாதி இந்த சீன் முடியட்டு வரேன்னு சொல்லிட்டு கட்டுறேன். வெரி விவிட் மெமரிஸ். That's where I caught it. அப்படியே பார்த்துட்டேன், ஆக்சுவலி முழு கதையை பார்த்துட்டேன். ஆமா,
ஒரு கட்டிங், ஒரு ஷேவிங், ஒரு ஃபேஷியல் எல்லாம் பண்ணி
நான் என்ன கேக்குறாங்க வீட்டுல, என்னடா ஒரு கட்டிங் பண்றதுக்கு இவ்வளவு நேரம் இவ்வளவுதான் முடி எடுத்துட்டு வந்தேன், அதெல்லாம் உனக்கு முடியாதுமா.
Oh god, that's genuinely a blast from the past.
Yeah, I miss those days.
சாலா வந்து சரலா போய் பரவாயில்லை.
Simpler times bro. இப்போனா green trendsன்றாங்க, டோனி கைட்றாங்க. Simple times. அதுக்குலாம் அப்பாயின்ட்மென்ட்லாம் bro. ஆமா bro, அது ஆன்லைன்ல புக் பண்ணுங்க, மெம்பர்ஷிப் எடுங்கன்றா. I miss the simpler times.
நான் இப்ப இந்த வருஷம் தான் வந்து ஒரு கல்யாணத்துக்காக நான் இந்தியாவுக்கு போனேன். ஸோ நான் ஜென்ரலி I kind of let my hair grow and I cut it once a year. I don't do it because age and arches it doesn't grow very long. Let's be very honest. So அதனால நமக்கு அவ்வளோ பிரச்சனைலாம் இல்லை. பட் அங்க போன அப்பாயின்மெண்ட் கேட்கறான்.
ரொம்ப கமர்ஷியலைஸ் ஆயிடுச்சு.
இதுக்கு வந்து என் ஊரே பரவாயில்லைங்க. எனக்கு யூகே பரவாயில்லைங்க. போனோமா 5 பவுண்டு கொடுத்தோமா 5 பவுண்டு இல்லை பட் 10 பவுண்டு வெட்டிட்டோம். That is much simpler இங்க. Oh God, but this is a very good anecdote, man. Kind of
like I was like, I've never heard myself say this story out loud. That I mean, இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு செட்டிங் அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் அட ஆமா எனக்கு இப்பதான் இது anecdote-ஆவே மாறிடுச்சுல. Like
so நீங்களும் வந்து தியேட்டர்ல
I didn't catch it in the theater. I didn't.
And did you watch SMS in the theater when it came out?
I don't think so. I think I was a little. See, I think they took me. Like I have a bunch of elder cousins and all. கூட்டு போனாங்க. So yeah, obviously they couldn't, babysit me at home. I was not babysit in the sense chaperone. Like appo I was in what 6th or 7th grade. So yeah, they couldn't leave me வீட்ல தனியான்னு சொல்லிட்டு இட்டுன்னு போயிட்டாங்க தியேட்டருக்கு. யாரும் சொல்ல மாட்டேன்ல, இது பாப்கார்னோ இது வாங்கி கொடுத்தா சொல்ல மாட்டேன்ல வீட்லன்ற மாதிரி கூட்டு போயிட்டாங்க அந்த எல்டர் கசின். பட் யா அது பார்த்தேன்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. ஏதோ உட்காந்து பார்த்தேன். அதுக்கப்புறம் ப்ராப்பரா டிவியில போடும்போது உட்காந்து பார்த்தேன். அப்போ நம்ம ஃபோக்கஸ் ஃபுல்லா பாப்கார்ன் மேல இருந்துச்சு. அதனால I remember.
இப்பெல்லாம் வந்து இப்பெல்லாம் பாப்கார்ன்.
ஆமா ப்ரோ, அதுவுமே சிம்பிளர் டைம்ஸ் தானே. ஸோ லைக்
So now when I first watched the film, so okay, first off, I was in my 2010, so I was in my master's already. So adile enoda vayadhu theriyum kittatta
different perspectives.
Masters and different perspectives, and in a way I was the target demographic. See, and this was sort of this was targeted towards people
youth
like
of
us,
the nation,
right? Youth of that time. Now I was studying in Europe, so obviously it was very impossible to go and watch Tamil films in America. I mean, I can literally tell you which Tamil cinema I watched in this
cinema. கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டம் தான்.
2010 and 2016.
அப்போலாம் கேட்கவே வேண்டாம்.
I can tell you I can tell you the names like ஒண்ணுமே யோசிக்காம I can tell you which one I watched. இதுக்கே வந்து நான் எந்திரன் பார்த்தேன், விஸ்வரூபம் பார்த்தேன். Then I watched Linga. I watched
எல்லாமே பிக் டிக்கெட் only big
for
ticket releases.
Bro, அதெல்லாம் அந்த டைம்ல வந்து 20 euros ஒரு டிக்கெட். 20 euros of that time. Okay, I was a student.
Wow.
அதுல உங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சிருக்கும் எவ்வளவு expensive. So அதனால it was difficult. So obviously I watched it online. Now, but once the sort of proper the print and all came out. So to me, see, what was interesting, like if a lot of our listeners, they are Gen Zers, right? And for them, this idea of a sort of meandering story just built on comedic vignettes, they might not even understand it. And that genre is dead.
It's a very distinct story structure where like the comedic track has a life and plot line of its own.
Exactly.
In a certain sense.
Exactly. In a way நம்ம 80s and 90s படம் எடுத்தோம்னா அந்த படத்துல you will have comedic tracks. படத்துக்கும் இதுக்கு சம்பந்தமே இருக்காது. In fact I'll give you the biggest example I can think of. Bali ஏகோட படம் it's a super serious
ஆனா comedic track ஒரு பக்கம்
super serious இருக்கு. அது ஸ்டார்டிங்ல விவேக் kind of travels with that Rajesh character and they are kind of doing this bit and whatnot. But அப்புறம் he's out, but then சம்பந்தமே இல்ல. Literally this guy, the definite guy, he's like doing really questionable stuff. அது முடிஞ்ச அப்புறம் this guy is like a sales rep. Vivek is a sales rep and he's trying to sell jetty
tonal shift.
That's a literal scene.
Tonal shift.
Yeah, அது வரும் வந்துட்டு suddenly you go back to again intense storytelling. Right? See that, but என்னன்னா it was, I wouldn't say it was required, but it was a product of its time.
அதுவும் இருக்கு. In the sense that like இப்போ directors used to plan, because writer directors are the norm in Tamil cinema even today. They used to plan their screenplays with this in mind. Like you get this much, like you get half an hour of story block, heavily loaded narrative.
Yeah.
Now enjoy 10 minutes of in-flight entertainment. Mari இந்த கமெடியன் இதை பார்த்துப்பாங்க. They let the comedian write their own jokes.
Literally.
They'll tell them இவ்வளவுதான் உனக்கு டைம், you do what you can with this material and stuff.
Yeah.
Full creative freedom.
கிட்டத்தட்ட it's like watching an ad.
It's padding also to sort of pad out
exactly,
give the story beats time to
and அது அப்பலாம் அந்த டிஸ்ட்ரிபியூட்டர் கம்பல்ஷன்ஸ்லாம் இருக்கும் and what not. So அது வர it kind of இது. But there was only one director who kind of bucked this trend. நான் சொல்றது 90s 2000. I'm not bringing in KB and all with his sort of drama based comedy films. And Nathan Vallai or even Kamal and Crazy the plot itself lends itself to comedy.
Those work more like theater plays, bro. Like Crazy oda style la, but that's very theatrical in a sense.
Yeah. Exactly. So adu but they're fundamentally it's built as a complete story which has it's not a story with comedic elements. It's built
comedic
as a
story.
Yeah. What I mean. So adu irukku. Whereas இப்போ ராஜேஷோட ஃபிலிம்ஸ் they kind of are somewhere in between. I will come to that in a second. The 90s கதை முடிச்சிருக்கோம். So basically you had these separate comedy tracks எல்லாம் இருக்கும். சம்பந்தமே இருக்காது, ஜானருக்கும் காமெடி ட்ராக்கும் சம்பந்தமே இருக்காது. Whistle is another great example of this with Vivek again. So the only person who kind of bucked this somewhat, who kind of started this trend of integrating the comedic bit more organically in the overall story was Sundar Singh.
To this day,
Sundar Singh Sundar Singh example எடுத்தீங்கன்னா, you take Arunachala again the film itself is a masala movie, fair enough, and there are moments of levity in it, but then there's like there's like or comedic block out there where the Soundarya things that like
Sendiloda
and then there's also subtrack where that the ponnoda mama that guy comes and he tortures Rajini quite a bit and whatnot. அதெல்லாம் நீங்க எடுத்துட்டு நீங்க ஒரு ஆதித்யால போட்டீங்கன்னா யூடியூப்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா they have a beginning middle and end. They tell a complete story but they are not the story of the
அது ஒரு டான்ஜென்ஷியல் விஷயம் மாதிரி தான் போயிட்டு இருக்கும்.
Exactly கிட்டத்தட்ட இல்ல in the 2010s Rajesh did exactly that. In fact his films are a bit even more crazy in some sense because they're literally a complete comedy sketch the way I see it, one following after the other, and that's the entire film. But Boss Engira Baskaran that's our sort of core movie for today, right? The through line, there's no through line. There's literally a guy, he's
wafer thin plot, and then like இதை விட wafer thin இருக்கவே முடியாதுன்ற மாதிரி ஒரு இது, but it works.
அவனோட ஆர்க் it works because the individual comedic bits they kind of ஒரு minute they advance a plot in some direction and then பாக்கிறதுக்குள்ள okay, oh, this guy actually had an arc
இருக்கு
அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கு அது. But the thing is it just fell into place அந்த மாதிரி தான் தோணும்.
When the story is not trying to take itself too seriously, the comedic bits are allowed to breathe.
Exactly. And the other key thing, right, like why Rajesh's films on the time of work again, like I said, this the idea that the comedic sketches, right, had a complete arc in itself. So நீங்க பாஸ் என்கிற பாஸ்கரன் that whole the theaterல அந்த fight இருக்குல்ல, the தலதளபதி சண்டை, அதுவே ஒரு without context for the rest of the film. பாக்கி ஃபிலிம் நீங்க விட்டுருங்க, just see if you're a random person who understands this Vijay Ajit Sanda and then just watches the scene, you will understand everything that you have to understand and you will enjoy it.
Ama bro.
And the completeness இருக்குல்ல, அது that was interesting. Also, but at the same time
ஒரு relatability இருக்கும். Like in those three films, in his first three films, like I don't know if you could consider it a rehash of the template or a slight different subgenre of Tamil cinema hero, but all these guys are probably guys you know in your everyday life. Like not entirely, but they have character traits that you see in people around you, family members you also might have in your own family, and they're not heroes who are fighting for a cause. எதுவுமே இல்ல அந்த மாதிரி. They're just actually they're wastrels தான், but they're relatable everyday guys. Like that is a very refreshing thing. That's why they're timeless.
And the other thing, right, எவனும் அங்க வந்து பெரியவனுக்கு வேலை பண்ணமான்னு எனக்கு தெரியல. அந்த சீரீஸ் ஆஃப் ஃபிலிம்ஸ், they're not like some super successful people or whatever, right? They literally
உதவாக்கறதான். They have no aim in life.
அதான் அந்த aim in life. ஆமா. Which of course has its problematic connotations, and we'll talk about that later. And we also touched upon it lightly in our deep dive as well.
அப்படி சுத்துறது கெத்துன்றது,
கெத்து பேக் வென்ச்சர்.
நீ இப்ப சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கல, like I actually think it did end up conditioning like these 3 films. Like at the time I was in school, right? I was nowhere near my 20s.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, if I could become an adult life, இவ்ளோ ஜாலியா இருக்குமா அப்படின்ற மாதிரி. Like it gave so many my age group such delusions and all. அவ்வளவுதான்டா, ஸ்கூல் முடிஞ்சிச்சுன்னா இப்படி ஜாலியா சுத்தலாம், டீ கடையில உட்காரலாம், இது போடலாம் அப்படின்ட்டு.
நான் thankfully தப்பிச்சிட்டேன்னா, because like I said, I was a bit already in my 20s. இங்க வந்து நான் வேற வெளிநாட்டுல வேற இருந்து அங்க வந்து உட்காந்து படிச்சுட்டு உட்காந்து நம்ம தான் சமைக்கணும் வேற. அந்த தலையில இருந்தது. So for me, I was personally able to distinguish between the real and the real, but I can totally understand that if you're in your early to mid teens, right, these movies are very impressionable.
Like there is a semblance of movie magic and suspension of disbelief, but they feel they're pseudo relatable. Like the whole point is that they appeal to your everyday life and everything, and that's one of their strengths. So it's easy to fall for that trap.
Exactly. Yeah. So and I think that's kind of marked his sort of opening trilogy or whatever. By the way, I personally believe that Baskaran is the best out of the lot. Do you agree with that? Or do you
I think as a movie in that formula, I think that movie works the best. Like others have certain pitfalls that miss the mark a little bit for me, but as a complete package, Baskaran is just dynamite.
I think already by the time it got to okay, right, you could see that Rajesh was
it's a one trick pony mari aidichu,
or sort of self parody and that even something like the cameo in
romba ham fisted ah irundhuchu adella. But and innonu vandittu like Baskaran, I don't know if you would call it luck or whatever else, everything somehow came together. Like edume pisire tattala endha or aspect lume. I mean, it was a tightly made film. Like there's no fluff, nothing. Everything comes like clockwork and the Maripona film down.
Even the songs. Right?
They're decent. They're not even bangers, but they work for the movie they're in.
Yeah, they're pretty decent. Yeah, pretty decent. Like kekra mari irukku, and you don't want anything more from the film.
You need, even the album doesn't need to take itself that serious.
Exactly. So and the vishayatla vandu it kind of worked, and you're right. And the acting also critical, not just Arya and Santana, of course, but even the supporting cast was very good.
Like boss's elder brother, like Aditya Subbu Panchu, like that was a great character. Like all of them have their moments to shine.
And number
Mottarajan, Mottarajan
இல்ல Mottarajan ஓடுங்க எனக்கு பிடிச்சது வந்து
next level அதெல்லாம். Like that pre-climax la and ஒரு speech அதெல்லாம் next level comedy. சத்தியமா
இல்ல அது funny thing, what happened, like Chitrakshan வந்து இறந்துட்டாங்க, right, touring talks சொல்லிட்டு YouTube. I think someone asked him,
உங்களுக்கு எதுக்கு
how do you
மங்குஸ் மண்டை
உங்களை வந்து மங்குஸ் மண்டைன்னு இல்ல உங்களுக்கு எதுக்கு இல்ல
நீங்க அஸ்யூமே பண்ணிட்டீங்களா அப்படின்ட்டு. That's the staying power of such it. Like I mean there's still meme templates. Like இப்போ கூட லைக் இப்போ பாண்டிச்சேரி ட்ரிப் மச்சா பாண்டிச்சேரி போறோம் 4 பீர் அடிக்கிறோம் 40 வாட்டி. That is not timeless dialogue. It just works. Also fun fact, speaking of dialogues, bro, I found out that Rajesh only wrote the dialogues for Varthapada Vali, another beloved classic from the era. Dialogues mattumda, like Ponram still wrote the stories.
Dialogues mattumda, okay.
But dialogues were by M. Rajesh.
Okay.
ஒரு கோடி போ நீ பார்த்த.
Very interesting.
ஒரு Now I know why it hit so hard.
Yeah. And he's also like the dialogues for this song. I personally enjoy how he again if it's probably overdone in particular situation, but at the time na vandilla in the callbacks to other films or meta things in the world la vandilla very people used to do it like that. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் பாஸ்கரன் அந்த ஓப்பனிங் சீன் வந்து என்னடா இது 1000 கோடி அவதார் இருக்கிற மாதிரி வந்து என்ன ரிலீஸ் பண்ற மாதிரி பேசுறாங்க. ஃப்ளோ வருது இல்ல, லைக் இட் இஸ் சோ டாபிக்கல்.
Also, one thing I'll give credit to Rajesh for in his early films is he was not afraid to make the joke at the expense of the hero. Like இப்போ இதுக்கு முன்னாடி வந்த படத்துல இருந்து எல்லாமே you had comedic tracks எல்லாம் இருக்கு, but usually they would not be at the expense of the hero. Like and பாஸ்ங்கிற பாஸ்கரன்ல அது full formல இருக்கும், எல்லாரும் அவனை கழுவி ஊத்துவாங்க கடைசி. That is actually part of his arc, which was a very refreshing change. Like that's also there for Partha and yeah.
In fact, one day the supporting character is the
Santanam,
more accomplished character in all his films.
Memorable character.
Santanam, he's the one who is sort of sorted in a way also, like within the context of the story kuda நல்ல தம்பி and பார்த்தா வந்து ஓகே ஃபைன் பட் ஆனா வந்து வேலை இருக்கு அவனுக்கு. சி அவனும் அதே முகத்தனை தான் பண்றான், அவனுக்கு வேலை இருக்கு, whatever he is doing something in his life, right?
He is actually the sorted one. Like he's the straight man.
Exactly,
he's the straight man to this main character's escapades.
Exactly. Which I think is also the reason why, right? Santanam had this sort of meteoric rise in that period.
For sure.
Like it's the comedy one, but it was the fact that
the backbone.
He was representing the average, the backbone of the film, but he was the average common
reacting
person,
to this,
you know,
kind
of taking the piss, right? Like on everyone. So if let's say நம்ம வந்து ஒரு hypothetical scenario வந்து let's say you or me, we get a supporting actor gig in a movie or okay, supporting actor விடுங்க, இப்ப நம்ம for example நம்ம friend வந்து some big cinema star, okay, let's say like my friend is a தல வச்சு ரொம்ப ஜாஸ்தியா இருக்கும், but okay, let's say இதுக்கு ஒரு விஜய் or whatever. இப்ப நம்ம லெவல்ல நான் சொல்றேன், we are relatively like professionals but nowhere as successful as these lot, okay. இப்ப நமக்கே வந்து லைஃப் மூவ் இன் த சர்வ் எவ்வளவுதான் ஃப்ரெண்டா இருந்தாலும் ஒரு 10 வாட்டி யோசிக்கும் டு கைண்ட் ஆஃப் புல் தேர் லெக் ஆர் வாட் எவர். இட் ஜஸ்ட் ஹேப்பன். நமக்கே வந்து வி கேன் ஹோல்ட் ourselves back. ஆனா வந்து உள்ள வந்து யூ ஹேவ் தட் urge, அவனை போட்டு கலாய்க்கணும், நாட் இன் a bad way, just you want to do it, right? அவன் ஃப்ரெண்டு தானே, சேர்ந்து வந்திருக்கோம், பட் வந்து he is way ahead of us now. பட் இப்போ வந்து you kind of hesitate to maintain that friendship at that same level. And kind of
also the pressure to be politically correct was a lot less, no, back then. So,
exactly, adala irukku. Exactly, whereas that's what sometimes character வந்து அந்த ஒரு மாதிரி ஒரு quote unquote cathartic thing. See நம்ம பண்ண முடியாத வந்து நம்ம பண்றோம் பாரு. See Santanam வந்து related to Jeeva and Arya was definitely not such a big
for sure.
I mean, yes, he was popular, but he's still a TV star.
He was more known for the sketch comedy style, not from Lolu Sabha.
Lolu Sabha. அவனை உட்காந்து வந்து first of all he's owning the film. Without Santanam none of these films work, and secondly வந்து he's taking the place all these lead actors, which was very refreshing.
For sure.
Right. It's an interesting question. So I think though, see again, these films, they kind of were targeted towards a specific demographic at that point in time, and probably a lot of Gen Zers also will struggle to relate with them today. Like, do you think that's the case? And if so, what are the reasons why Gen Zers might not really relate to these films? And if let's say they want to sit and watch, say, Engira Baskaran or an OK or whatever today, right? Why should they watch it?
That's actually a very loaded question. Seri, but full disclosure, I'm right on the cusp of what people typically consider the Gen Z. Like I was born just before 96 born, so I'm like a cusp millennial. But I think like one reason they might not click with the comedy that you see in the first 3 films pati pesren, and probably why they're becoming stale now, is there is access to a lot more genres of comedy literally everywhere. There's doom scrolling, there's brain rot, like there's you can watch sketch comedy and stand-up comedy which is present since then. You can watch it from global people like Ricky Gervais or whatever. Ellam pannalam. The tastes have evolved on oru pakkamu sollaam, to the point where this kind of more light-hearted, slightly slapsticky thing doesn't really cut us deep anymore. அது ஒன்று இருக்கலாம். இன்னொன்று வந்துட்டு லைக் We're also Tamil cinema isn't very reflective of this style of filmmaking anymore. Like we want also like attention spans have gone down. People are not going to sit around and they want the story to move on. So they're not going to sit and wait for tidbits of plot crumbs in every comedic scene. டக்குன்னு ஸ்டோரி லைட்டா ஒரு 5 செகண்ட் வந்தாலே லாக்னு சொல்லிட்டு போன் எடுத்து ரீல்ஸ் தோண்ட ஆரம்பிக்கிறேன். So yeah, then where is the incentive to sit and watch a movie purely for the comedy factor? Again, I'm not saying this isn't entirely doable. I mean, you do have like movies like Premulu and all, but comedy already was the hardest genre to crack in Tamil cinema back then. It's even more so now because, well, tastes are changing and all that. Click aguma agadandradhu vande I don't know. It depends on the social circles you move in, right? Like when the world's very different. These movies were made in a different era, button phone era, where you have still had to go outside and hang out with your friends and all to have fun, which might not. There's so many factors. So, I mean, mostly I can see Gen Zers watching this on YouTube while they eat or something, just for light, turn off your brain laughs, max to max, and for the meme templates.
அது பார்த்துட்டோம். Meme templates, yes, அது இருக்கு. அது கூட பார்த்துட்டு most of them will be probably not very happy about something.
Yeah, they've aged like milk. Like, and he has been called out for it. Like Mr. Local, his more recent films also talk about this. Like they face that backlash. So it isn't very aging very well.
I think it's put it this way, right? I think the one reason why you should watch it is watch Pete Santana. You'll understand why he was the last of the great comedians, right? And he is unfortunately the last.
The entire subgenre itself has been retired. Like, there are no comedy track movies. There are no comedians anymore. Like even Surya has moved on to doing character acting. Satish, I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. So Amala Vandela, that sort of the supporting actor.
I think it got switched out for the evolution has become that instead of comedians, we'll hire influencers for these kind of fill in the blanks.
Which is a step down massively, by the way.
Maybe we're on the wrong side of the spectrum.
I don't know, dude. Like
Dragon had it too.
I'll give you one advantage these influencers are. Yeah, they had it, but see, the one advantage the influencers have over comedians, they're playing themselves for all practical purposes, right? So avangalukku ஒரு particular ஒரு archetype இருக்கு, and the archetype they play that. So in a way, you kind of know what you're getting into when you see that the particular influencer is there in that film. And also, if you're a smart director, you can use that to your advantage, which is what Dragon did, right? But நீங்க வந்து மத்த படம் எடுத்தீங்கன்னா most of the cases where they put influencers,
that is what I consider a step down. Like they're being hired purely as a business decision, like for numbers, to pump up the booking numbers. And I don't think that's good for creativity long term. For cameo.
So that's a big problem.
Anyways,
so coming back to the original thing, right? So if you want to watch Peak Santanam, this is the film to watch, right? I personally, I think this number Kalakalapa and Thea Varasanakumar, right? These three
pure entertainment, pure entertainment.
And you complete 360-degree Santanam experience. In the mood,
these three are short on time. These three work very well. Memorable characters too.
So other than that, like there's. I must admit, even though it's a film that I enjoy a lot, like as light watching and whatnot, I mean, a lot of those things are probably not very acceptable in today's sort of day and age, right? So I would really not recommend it from
please do. Please understand that it was made in a time where
very precious. Exactly. Exactly. அதுக்குன்னு வந்து நீங்க வந்து எங்களை கொதறாதீங்க, நீங்க எப்படி இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணலாம்.
We grew up, we learned what to do, what not to do.
We grew out of it. Exactly. So and we're doing it, right? So அது
தயவு செஞ்சு போட்டு பழக்காதீங்க.
அது exactly. So அது வந்து இருக்கு, but beyond that, I mean the sort of not just light entertainment, I think it's okay. But honestly, beyond like watching Peak Santanam, the only other there's no, in my opinion, there's no other reason to watch this or these films, right? And Okay, that's kind of sad considering we're making a full episode about it. And we said don't even bother watching the film. But I think it's important to address, right? Because let's be very honest. நீங்க வந்து 2010ல வந்து if you talk to whatever age JKU or whatever age I was and said that in 4 years time or in 5 years time there would be no more comedy films in Tamil cinema, like full-fledged proper comedy films in Tamil cinema.
I thought no, this is the DNA of what makes Tamil cinema like ஒரு காமெடி ட்ராக் இல்லாம எப்படி படம்
Exactly.
அது பெரிய படம்னா you had your experimental films back then also, but those knew what they wanted to be. இப்போ ஒரு படம் வருது, ஒரு கமர்ஷியல் ரிலீஸ் ஒன்னு வருதுன்னா அதுல ஒரு காமெடி ட்ராக் இருக்கும், இல்ல ஒரு கமெடிக் ரிலீஸ்.
And the fact that it just died out in less than half a decade from that point in time,
that really is
kind of sad, right? And now what goes in the name of comedy is really hard to sit through. Like even with one notable exception, which is our great Sundar C. Pams. I think I don't know.
Somehow managed to sustain. And I think BR also asked him about this. Like,
exactly.
Why do you think? Like, what do you have to say about the criticisms to your movies? Like, glamour kaga idu pandring. And he's self-aware. I mean, you can side whichever way you want, but he's self-aware about why he puts the things he puts.
See, the other thing look, Sundar C. is a full.
He knows the audience pulse very well.
And I use this word very carefully. We don't have.
Madagaja Raja was the biggest.
That is our biggest challenge.
Example of this.
Yeah. If you pick a location or whatever, like location,
even a Nelson film,
maybe at least Nelson also, they are mass movies, they're not masala movies. They really kind of struggle.
They have masala moments at best.
That's a problem.
Like they're not masala films through and
exactly. They're masala films. In fact, BR he makes a clear distinction between these two genres, mass and masala. And what we get is mass movies, not masala movies. This Sundar C. is probably the last of those masala directors who still manages to do it properly. And adinala da avaroda recent films kuda they more or less kind of work because he's not over-reliant on
there is a story there,
right?
They'll all have at least an interesting story hook.
There is exactly other elements to kind of keep the audience engaged and what. And kadasila you finish the film, you'll be like, see, maybe the movie as a whole is like all over the place.
I think
some of the
like one thing another, like to draw a parallel between him and Rajesh, like as great as these movies are, like even his first 3 movies are Rajesh, they can all basically be summed up by the same plot summary without mentioning names. They're basically the exact same template told with slightly different story elements. Sundar C. படத்துல அப்படி கிடையாது. Like you can very distinctly tell the difference between a Thiya Velasevan Kumar, a Kalagalapu, or any of his other Madagaja Raja. They're all very distinct story.
Recommendation நான் கொடுக்கிறேன். Sundar C. அரண்மனை இல்ல, நான் கொடுக்கிற கோட் ரெக்கமெண்டேஷன்.
Actually underrated, overrated ஆக்காம இருந்தா சரி. நான் நிறைய பேர் இந்த படம் கேட் கீப் பண்ணுவாங்க. All time
I have watched it in the cinema. Trust me, it was one of the greatest.
He knows, bro. Like Sundar C. minimum guarantee director na, like he's managed to uphold that. Minimum guarantee you will be entertained.
Even though it's a remake film, by the way, it's a remake of a Hindi film called.
I've heard.
It starred Amir Khan and Salman Khan. See, as someone who speaks both languages quite fluently. And I'm going to say something that is sacrilegious to our North Indian friends. And Anda Sapna Apna was a flop.
Sleeper hit Mari aiduchu. Cult classic.
Nowadays it's considered it's a cult classic nu solvanga. Trust me, I will tell you this. Ullithe is a far superior.
I think I'd agree, but like
I think if you
I don't know. In hindsight, it probably is. I'd agree.
Illa bro, I'll tell you. Even I'm telling you, hindsight you're right, but I think if you're lucky enough to understand both languages,
see, I'm
not you specifically.
I can tell that Ullithe Elitha was made with far more clinical and precise intent in what it wanted to be. It doesn't be wishy-washy about narratives. It knows, and that's true for most Sundar C. movies, whether they work or not.
Exactly.
They're very clear on what they want to be.
Whereas Andaz Apna first half literally feels
it
goes, it's just meandering. It's just like bunch of funny scenes stitched together. And again, you watch the scenes in isolation, they're funny.
The game changer there is
They don't
pacing.
drive the plot.
Like Sundar Ci's movies are all paced very well.
Yeah.
Like I mean, okay, they never become too draggy.
Yeah.
Like even in movies that are like pure brain rot by his standards, Ambalalam பார்த்தா கதையே கிடையாது. There is no story, but it's fun. While you're watching it, it is fun. You have a fun Santanam character. You have the legendary sumo flying scene. Yeah, you are entertained. So at least that and all is happening now.
Bro, Ambala doesn't it have the world record for most number of supporting
That's
characters
probably
after
true.
Game of
Yeah,
Thrones?
it's also viral all over the world. Like I mean, you have Hollywood bros dissecting that
The
sumo
sumo
scene.
தானே. No, seriously, he made it work.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
still relevant today, man. And you know, he'll
Oh yeah, that's
Mukudi Amman too live for next. I'm kind of intrigued to see what he does and how he kind of separates it from what Balaji did. So that'll be interesting to see. Well, from what we've heard, like Karuppu is probably what Mukudi Amman 2 would have been before he kind of left, right? So it'll be pretty similar to the sort of plot and whatnot. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I think this is probably a good time to end this podcast, bro. Any final thoughts on Rajesh, Baskaran?
On Rajesh,
anything else?
I think same thing that I would probably tell Shankar if I met him in an elevator or something. Like, bro, the game's changing around you. You might as well adapt. Like, because even now he had a release, Rajesh brother, last Diwali, which somehow thought
Oh my God,
it was fine to clash with Amaran and Bloody Beggar. Somehow that movie made these two movies better. And I don't even know. Kadi.
Bro, brother like Kadilang kadiyadhu. See, there's some films that work as whiteness.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
sorry.
I would have watched it
I don't
at
wanna
least if it was
sound
that. I
so-
couldn't get past the first 10 minutes or OTT.
ப்ரோ நான் அந்த படத்தை I'm not making this up, நான் ஆன் பண்ணிட்டு இல்ல ரூம்ல நான் க்ளீன் பண்ணிட்டேன் கீழே. ஓகே, I honestly like nothing's happened, man, since at some point I even stopped looking at the screen.
It's bad when the movie's distractingly bad, like even as white noise. Like it's that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just too much. Just and number
Ravi Mohan,
still he was like, he looked so bored. I felt really sad for that guy.
They did him dirty with
Sense
that.
Okay, maybe came at honestly, dude. But yeah, you're right. I think the game's changed. I don't want to sound negative, but I feel that, see, with Shankar, there's still some hope because he's still technically very competent. I mean, leave Indian to a side and
See, those were very troubled productions.
Even Game
like
Changer
Rendume.
technical bits are okay. But, yeah. But I would say Game Changer technically was not.
See, you can watch it as white noise. It's very derivative. It's very generic, but it's not. It's inoffensive. Exactly. At least that much it is.
Yeah. So I still think he still has the goods in him to deliver a superior technical product.
He has the cinematic vision. That much I will give.
So
it's the execution that struggles.
And he's probably and the big scale spectacle
he
I
is.
still think he's our best.
Like Rajamouli level or spectacle mount பண்றதுனா அது
அவங்களுக்கு
அவங்களுக்கு
comes a
தெரியும்.
close second. Exactly. Atlee comes a close second.
Atlee அவனோட student தானே. So
but again,
I mean, apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Correct, exactly. So exactly. So and the Rajamouli visually yara
Shankar.
The only person we have in Tamil cinema Shankar. He needs a good writer.
I think Tamil cinema itself needs proper writers. Like we have only writer-directors. They don't have writers.
It's a general comment, bro. Yeah. But I feel unfortunately.
Yeah. Bro, I don't know. See, unless the industry itself shifts, appome he will still have some groundwork to do and rethink how comedy is being viewed these days. But yeah, in the mari padathuke audience illaya, bro. Max to max you'll get an OTT audience. That's it. Avladhaan. Like, but we'll see. Maybe times will change.
Yeah, I think his filmmaking and his sensibilities are still stuck in 2010, unfortunately.
Also, the themes are also very dated and they're not going to fly today.
Yeah, so I think they really won't. So yeah, you're right. I think he needs to revisit what he
agreed.
can do probably. எனக்கு தான் தோணுது when I edit this episode சம்மந்தமே இல்லாம ஏதோ பேசிட்டு
சங்கர் பீலக் என்ன ஏண்டா போட்டு பழக்கிறீங்க, அவனை பத்தாண்டா பேச வந்து கேள்வி எல்லாம் கேட்காதீங்க, அடிங்க.
எனக்கு என்னன்னா ராஜேஷோட வந்து I think we've spoken about everything else after in and
I mean we have to study why his kind of movie wouldn't work, but so we took a person whom is still making it work and someone who's facing similar problems.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed this very fun conversation we had, kind of marking 15 years of Engira Baskaran. படம் மாதிரி நம்மளும் வந்து ஒரு மாதிரி சம்மந்தமே இல்லாமல் பேசணும், but we had a lot of fun. அதுதான் ரொம்ப முக்கியம். So we hope you had fun listening to it, and please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. It helps us a lot, and you know, we are more than 200 people strong, but we believe that we can do better, and we can do better if we have your support. So thanks a lot for all the support you've given us, and and we'll join you very soon in another episode.
Bye.
அது சின்ன பசங்களை நீங்க உங்களுக்கு வாழ்க்கையோட தத்துவம் புரியல. அதாகப்பட்டது நாணயம்னா ரெண்டு பக்கம் இருக்கு, வாழ்க்கைன்னா இன்பம் துன்பம் இருக்குது. அந்த மாதிரி தான் எல்லாமே. வானம் பூமி, இரவு பகல், சூரியன் சந்திரன், நல்லது கெட்டது. வாழ்க்கையோட அடியில் நோண்டி பாத்தீங்கன்னா
தலையா தளபதியான்னு கேட்டா கமல் மாதிரி புரியாமையே பேச